Hey guys, Fluian here, and today we're going to do a short tutorial on Project Spark. I want to do a tutorial for quick tutorials for just about everything that I can think of that's complicated or whatever, but this one's just a basic tutorial to get people interested in, acquainted with programming terms and basically just the code of the brain, and to get acquainted with what the terms are, what different things do, what they mean, what's the difference, like what's the difference between equal to and equal. It's just simple things like that. So, also the audio for Spark does not like me. It won't record commentary with the video properly. It goes in and out. So this is done after the fact, and hopefully I won't have to edit too much to get the audio spot on with the video. Alright, so let's jump into it. Normally when I experiment around, I just like to choose the third-person adventure mode and just make any type of humanoid-looking character, not to bash the other ones, but just to make it, not as complicated. Alright, so we're going to go to edit, we're going to go into the brain. Now we're going to explain the brain a bit. So this says once the person spawns once, they're on a team, and it equals team number 1. Next we have a follow camera, which is very simple. It just follows you around, the camera does. This next one's a bit complicated. It has a show meter, health, max health, and screen top left. So this is saying it's showing a bar that is equal to the health, and the maximum is wherever the max health is, and it's shown in the top left of the screen. That's simple. Left stick move, A when it's pressed you jump, X when it's pressed you attack, Y when it's pressed you shoot, or held down you shoot. Notice that one doesn't have it pressed. This one is when you interact with an object, or when you come to an object that's interactable, it will highlight yellow and it will show B above it. This is that's specific for what you're using, either a console controller or like a keyboard, as to what button it would show. That's saying when B is pressed, interact. If there's something interactable next to it, or else, that means or instead of that you do B is pressed, dodge roll. Alright, now we're looking at a second page. There are multiple pages to brains, and they're actually very useful for switching back and forth. I'll show you what that code is here in a second. We named that page new, and we're going back to the first page, and we're going to name it original, just so we can distinguish between them. Now we're going to go and look at, so now we're going to look at the difference between equal to and equals. Right now I have equal to under the when side. Equal to is asking when something is equal to something else. So say I'm basically asking if right now, for example, it says me, so if me is equal to something else, that doesn't make much sense. Let's put another variable in there. A variable is just a name for something else. So we say if, stupid is equal to smart, which, literally speaking it isn't, but you can make it that in programming. You just assign the same value to each of them. Now this next one, equals, I put a Boolean variable with it. That basically means you're going to assign a value to it. So that Boolean variable, if I said it was equal to false or equals true, then it would be, whatever. It would be one of those. Now this is switch page, and I'm going to add in text. So if I use this in code, it would say switch page to new. New is what I named the second page, so it would switch to that page. And that's very simple, that's very straightforward. You don't need a programming background to understand that. Quick little trick, if you want to have a single jump, you can remove the pressed part of the A button command, and you will only jump once. You will not be able to double jump. Not quite sure what the reason for that is. I guess it's just the way they set it up. But you can also hold down A, like I'm doing right now, and just jump constantly. If you have A pressed, that prevents that. But I mean, that's not a big deal. Like, why would you? I mean, I guess somebody might for something not want you specifically to be able to do that, but I don't care, so I just leave it. And since the double jump's so powerful on most of my worlds, I leave only a single jump. A few more things. Alright, this is sensors. This is detect. Detect basically detects in a sphere. This is C, which detects in a cone. This is bump, which detects whenever an object is touching another object. It's bump terrain, that detects where the object is touching the terrain. And that is trigger zone, which is basically the same as detect the zone area or wherever, but the first one, but it's in a box as opposed to a sphere. And those are very useful for determining, you know, like when someone's in the area, trigger this trap or something like that. You got all your different control setups. You got different ones for PC and for Xbox One. There's all your math functions. These are very useful. Teams. Okay, so teams, you notice there's already an enemies and a few other things. This is useful for just assigning a team. So you're saying if, you know, someone's on my team, then I can't hurt them or something like that. These are all your orientations: up, down, left, right, offsets, sockets. These are all just locations that you can put objects or make effects happen. Speaking of effects, we'll get into that here in a second. First, we're going to look at logic. I'm going to have to use a variable of some kind, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so you have and. On the when side, it's different than on the do side. On the when side, when you say and, you're saying when this equals true and this equals true. So both things have to be happening for the do side to execute. Or's different. Or is one or the other. So either one of them can be happening for the do to execute. On do side, it's simply just an and. So it's like, oh, do this and do this. Do both of these things. Or you can put an or on the do side, but I don't know what the purpose for it would be. Someone else might know. I'm sure someone will know. Maybe not anybody watching this video, but I mean, I don't know what you would do with it. Now we're going to show a little thing with effects. I need to make a new line. Also, this right here, this is called nesting. You do this so that, say, whenever the line above it happens, then this line will happen. But if the top line doesn't happen, if that wing condition does not happen, then the lines below it will not execute. So I don't even have to tell you how useful that is. Right now we're going to set it up so we play an effect whenever I press the A button, as well as jump. So we're going to choose this little energy circle thing. And you notice earlier that I used gallery picker. That's where you want to go to select your actual, you know, effects that you want to play. You can also have an in-world picker, and it does the same thing, but you choose something in the world to happen, which is not very useful if you want to say play an effect, but it's useful if you want to say do this if this object is dead. So if you want to say like your main character is dead, you could pick the character in the world and say when this object equals dead or something like that. I mean, you can actually just go into the object and say when it's dead, but you know, you can do different things like that if you want to set it up different ways. And like all programmers should know, this is a programming language. And when you have a programming language, there are multiple ways to do the same thing. And what programmers try to do is find the most efficient way. And even if you don't have the most efficient way, you can, you know, if you can do it, you're at least on the right path and you can simplify it later. So that's what these videos are for, is to basically give you an idea of how to do something, not necessarily the best way, but definitely a way to do it. This is a object under the camera stuff, or a thing. It's very useful. It was called, forgot what it's called. It basically puts a black line at the top and at the bottom of the screen, so that's what you see when you play Dakota maps and they have a cutscene or something, and the little black drops down, and then they have text to pop up. So that's what they use. Again, that's under camera and effects or something like that. Well, thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to make more of these videos, and stay tuned.